Sometimes depression doesn't appear as usual. Gloomy, unmotivated, always sad. Today we're diving deep into a topic that's often misunderstood: high-functioning depression. Let's unpack what it truly means, how it subtly impacts daily life, and the things it makes you do. What is high-functioning depression? You ever hear someone say, "They seem so normal, how could they be depressed?" Or maybe, "I bet they're just pretending to be depressed for attention." It's a common misconception, and often they're talking about something known as high-functioning depression. High-functioning depression isn't a clinical term, yet it often pops up in conversations. It's believed to stem from confusion around persistent depressive disorder, PDD, which is a prolonged form of depression. Unlike major depression, where symptoms might be intense, PDD is less severe but lasts longer. Some think of high-functioning depression as managing life normally, despite depressive feelings. However, let's be clear, the official term is PDD, and it can deeply impact one's life. The idea of functioning might make it sound mild, but the challenge is still real. Remember, everyone's experience with depression is unique and valid. So here are the things high-functioning depression makes you do. Overuse of coping skills. High-functioning depression makes you overuse your coping skills. Ever find yourself leaning on your favorite coping strategies a bit too much? It's like you used to unwind with a bit of Netflix over the weekend, but now it's an everyday marathon. While it's okay to have that downtime, when it starts replacing most activities or interferes with your lifestyle, it's worth looking over. There's nothing wrong with the occasional yoga session, a soothing bath, or a movie night. But if you're constantly seeking refuge in them, it could indicate a deeper emotional or mental struggle. It's like your mind's way of saying, "Hey, our usual reset button isn't working." And here's the thing, when these typical comforts don't suffice, there's a risk of turning to less healthy alternatives. So if you find yourself excessively relying on these tools, it might be a sign to check in with yourself. Imposter Syndrome. Have you ever met someone who, despite doing amazing work, brushes off compliments with, "Oh, I just got lucky"? This might hint at something called Imposter Syndrome. It's this tricky mindset where, no matter the evidence, someone believes they're not as capable or deserving as others might think. It's like their brain is playing a sneaky trick on them, making them feel like they're fooling everyone else. Even with a stack of achievements, that doubt whispers, "You're not good enough." Imposter syndrome isn't just modesty, it's a deeper feeling of inadequacy. And here's the thing, it often links with high-functioning depression. High-functioning depression may come with persistent bouts of not feeling good enough, worthy of praise, or worthy of achievements they work for. So when you hear someone downplay their successes, it's more than just being humble. Offering a genuine word of support can make all the difference, reminding them of their worth and competence. Everyone needs that nudge sometimes, don't they? Being a perfectionist. You know, it's easy to think perfectionism is a trait of the successful. After all, society often rewards those who push harder, achieve more, and constantly strive for the best. But here's the thing, when someone battles high-functioning depression, this pursuit of perfection can become a double-edged sword. Being a perfectionist means setting sky-high standards. And while aiming high isn't bad, it can become harmful when those expectations feel unattainable. Imagine constantly chasing a goal, but no matter how hard you try, feeling like you never quite measure up. That weight can lead to self-criticism, disappointment, and added stress. It's not about just working hard, it's about feeling like nothing you do is ever enough. And that feeling, it can intensify the hidden struggles of high-functioning depression. Being misunderstood. High-functioning depression, or persistent depressive disorder, PDD, often leads people to harbor certain misconceptions. One prevalent misconception is that those with PDD are merely seeking attention or being overly dramatic. The reality, their struggles, although not always visible, are genuine and taxing. Imagine facing daily tasks that feel monumental, even if they seem ordinary to others. The challenge isn't always in completing them, but in battling the emotional weight alongside. Yet since they aren't visibly falling apart, they often hear, "But you seem fine." This invisibility can fuel self-doubt and isolation. The absence of overt signs shouldn't invalidate anyone's experience. Offering a listening ear, or simply believing someone when they open up can make a world of difference. After all, understanding and compassion go a long way in dismantling these false beliefs and showing support. Tiredness, lethargy, in spite of adequate sleep. Imagine this, you have a phone with a fully charged battery, yet every time you make a phone call or send a text, the battery immediately drains empty and dies out. This in humans could be the same, having a fully charged battery, but every task feels like it's draining you faster than it should. That's what high-functioning depression can feel like. Even when you're getting a solid 8 hours of sleep or more, you might find yourself battling a peculiar kind of fatigue. The tricky thing about high-functioning depression is that, from the outside, you seem to have it all together. You're attending work, meeting deadlines, and keeping up with social commitments. But what others don't see is the silent toll it's taking on you. Remember that time when finishing a task felt like a walk in the park? Now, with high-functioning depression, that same task can feel like you're hiking uphill with a heavy backpack. Even small tasks seem to demand so much more energy than they used to. It's not about being lazy or not being motivated. It's about an internal struggle where your mind and body are trying to find balance. But despite the fatigue, the drive to push through remains, often at the expense of personal well-being. Losing focus. Let's talk about a subtle sign of high-functioning depression: losing focus. Now, when someone is dealing with this, it's not just the occasional "oops, I spaced out." It's a consistent struggle to maintain attention, almost like a silent internal wrestling match. Picture this: you're chatting, and they might seem distant. They're not ignoring you, nor do they find what you're saying unimportant. They're just battling to stay present. With high-functioning depression, even simple routine activities can feel like running 2 marathons back to back. It's mentally exhausting. And here's the kicker: they're painfully aware that these tasks shouldn't feel so Herculean, leading to more feelings of inadequacy. In essence, they're constantly drawing from an energy bank that's nearing empty. That energy is spread thin, trying to keep up appearances, while an internal voice critiques every move. They want to seek help, but the self-doubt can be paralyzing. Remember, understanding and patience can make a world of difference. Difficulty getting excited and self-criticism. High-functioning depression has a knack for stealing the color from the things we once loved. Remember that spin class or the thrill of painting or the peace in yoga? There was a time when these activities made us feel alive. But with high-functioning depression, it's as though the volume on joy gets turned down a notch. You might find yourself doing them, but the excitement, it doesn't bubble up the way it used to. And then, there's the self-criticism. With high-functioning depression, the voice in you isn't your biggest fan. It's more of a relentless critic. It might whisper things like, "You're not doing enough," or "Why can't you get it right?" And sometimes, it doesn't stop with you. Without even realizing it, you might start seeing the world with those same critical glasses, wondering why others can't keep up or why everything seems a little off. But here's the thing: it's not you, and it's not them. It's the sneaky influence of high-functioning depression. Recognizing these signs is the first step in navigating through them. Anger and irritation. You snap at someone for just dropping a cup or making a small mistake. High-functioning depression can intensify feelings of irritability. It's like the world's volume knob is turned up too high, and minor annoyances suddenly feel like major disruptions. Imagine constantly being on edge, where even the tiniest things make you boil over. Friends and loved ones might notice and think, "Why are they in a bad mood so often?" It's not that you're intentionally being grumpy. It's just that the weight of this type of depression makes it harder to manage emotions. One of the big challenges with high-functioning depression is the disbelief from others. "You seem fine," they say, but deep down, the struggle is real, and it can be exhausting to constantly hide it. A huge part of this disbelief comes from the lack of knowledge and the existing stigma around mental health. Low self-esteem. Have you ever had those moments where you look in the mirror and struggle to see the amazing person everyone says you are? That feeling, where it seems like you're never quite enough, is a tough one. Low self-esteem can be sneaky like that, especially in people with high-functioning depression. On the outside, you might seem like you have everything together. Perhaps you're successful at work, have a loving family, and even a solid group of friends. But internally, the story can be so different. That weight of feeling unworthy can be so heavy, even if there's no logical reason for it. High-functioning depression, while subtle, carries profound implications for those experiencing it. And by being informed, we can offer better support and foster understanding environments. Did you enjoy this video? Then you need to watch this next video.